Hi, welcome to Right to Top. I'm Adam. In today's video, we're going to do a little bit of vocabulary building, but more specifically, we're going to be looking at how English can be a very confusing language. Now, I'm sure most of you already know this, but I'm going to show you specifically by looking at something called homonyms. Now, homonyms, they're basically broken into two parts, but these are words that sound the same as other words or look the same, but have completely different meanings, okay? Now, the reason I want you to understand these is when you're learning new vocabulary, you have to understand that sometimes maybe you'll be watching a movie or listening to a song or a TV show, and you'll hear a word that you think you know, or you're reading something and you see a word that you think you know, but it doesn't make sense in its context. This is because it could have a very different meaning and that you don't know about. So it's very important to learn different meanings of words and to understand that context makes a huge difference. Now, especially if you're taking something like the IELTS test, okay, and you have a listening section, and spelling does count on the IELTS test. So if you misspell a word in your answer, on the answer sheet, you don't get a point, even though you heard it correctly, but you spelled it wrong, right? And sometimes they will test your understanding of homonyms. So let's get right into it and see what I'm talking about, okay? So homonyms basically are broken down into two different categories. Sometimes there are three categories, depending who you ask. We have homophones, homographs, and what some people call true homonyms, okay? So homophones are words that are spelled differently but sound the same. So I think all of you know two, and two have very different meanings, but they sound exactly the same. Bear and bear, spelled differently, sound the same. Pray and pray. There are many of these words, okay? If you go to my website, I'm going to have a list of the different homonyms and homographs, etc. You should start studying them, know what they mean, how they're used, so you can understand them in context. Now, homographs are words that are spelled the same, but sound different. They are pronounced differently. So bass, for example. Bass, bass. Minute, minute. Wind, wind. Lead, led, etc. Again, lots of these. Now, homonyms, true homonyms are words they sound the same, they're spelled the same, but they have completely different meanings. So we mentioned bear and bear above, but bear, B-E-A-R, can also have completely different and unrelated meanings. So I'm going to show you a few examples of these, and then it's up to you to go study different examples and as many as you can. Okay, so let's start with homophones. I'm going to give you 2 or 3 examples of each, okay? Principle and principle. Now, these sound the same but are spelled differently. The first one ends in L-E, the second one ends in A-L. So you need to know the difference in meaning and how to use them as well. So principle with L-E ending. So this is a basic truth or idea that underlies a belief system, an action chain, etc., or a fundamental source of something. So think about religion. Let's look at the big religions of the world. We have Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, okay? These are 3 different religions. They have a lot of similarities, but they're all different religions each is based on its own set of books or writings or teachings, etc. But they all share a common principle, which is that God exists. So that is the first principle of religion. God exists. And on top of that, you build your belief system and you take the actions that you take, etc. And you build your churches, mosques, and temples. Now, a fundamental source means the first thing. So our first principle is the first thing that wasn't added onto to create. It exists by itself. And from that, you go on to other things. If we think about what is life, one of the first principles of life, one of the main sources of life is water. So water is a first principle. You need that to create life. And the principle with an AL ending. So it means first or of most importance. It could be the head of any organization. Now, most people know a principal as a head of a school. He's in charge of the school or she's in charge of the school, but it could be other companies as well. And if you're talking about money, a loan, when you borrow money from a bank, let's say you borrow $1,000 from the bank, that $1,000 is the principal that you need to return to the bank. But on top of that, you will pay interest. So you're going to give the bank $1,000 plus, let's say, 10%, another $100. So $1,000 principal, $100 interest. Now, I'm going to show you example sentences as well, so you see how some of these meanings can be used. The company embraces the principle of promotion through seniority, which many believe has hampered its growth potential. For instance, many of its principal decision makers are not fully literate in social media platforms, nor do they see the value in it, even in today's digital media landscape. So again, it's a bit of the whole thing is out of context, but they have a principle. They promote people within the company based on seniority, not based on talent. So it has hampered its growth potential. So many of its main decision makers are a bit old fashioned. Okay, that part is actually missing there. But these people who are making the decisions, these are the heads of the company or the most important decision makers. They are so stuck in the old ways, they don't even believe in social media. But these days, you can't operate a company without knowing and using social media. So their principle is outdated, and the principles are the ones who won't catch up to the reality of the business world. Okay? Bare and bare. So bare, B-A-R-E, means empty. So as an adjective, it means empty or without extra additions. It's very basic, the bare essentials, not more than is necessary. It also means naked or uncovered, and you can use it as a verb, to uncover, to bare something, or to lay bare something. Basically means to show it exposed without hiding anything, just as it is. Bear, B-E-A-R, means to carry, to bear something to another place, to support. Like the pole won't bear the weight of the ceiling, for example. Usually we're talking about a burden. You carry a burden, something that doesn't have to be physical. It could be an idea or pressure, etc. To give birth or fruit. So a woman bears a child, a tree bears fruit. To withstand, hold up under, means to be able to take whatever pressure or weight or something. It could be the animal, like the bear with the claws. Or if you're talking about the stock market, it means tending or trending downward. So a bear pulls down the market, a bull lifts up the market. Even stripped bare, this new policy does not bear scrutiny. So if we take this policy, we take away all the extra wording that's unnecessary. Even if we look at the basic of it, the basics of the policy, even then it does not bear scrutiny. It does not withstand. It does not hold up to scrutiny, to examination, close examinations. It means it's very easy to find fault with this policy. The investigative journalist laid bare the government's claims to bear down on tax cheats. So the government was trying to hide the fact that they're going to start coming down hard or pushing hard on people who cheat on their taxes. So laid bare means showed it, exposed it, made it basically naked, showed it to the public. And the actual phrase here is bear down on. This is a phrasal verb, but bear means push in this case, right? So put weight on, and put a burden on the people who cheat on their taxes. Okay. Homographs. So now all of you probably know this word, minute. 60 seconds in 1 minute, 60 minutes in 1 hour, etc. Pronounced minute. It's a time measure. The other meaning and the other pronunciation is minute. Minute. Means very, very, very small, tiny, very detailed, okay? The examination will last roughly 90 minutes, an hour and a half. This is because this machine examines the entire frontal lobe region in minute detail. They look at every little piece that there is to look at. They don't miss anything. Minute detail, okay? Another one, entrance. I think, again, everybody knows this word. Like when you come into a room, there's the entrance, or a building, there's an entrance. Entrance, it's the point of opening to a place, a point from which to enter. It could also be the act of entering a place. She made a dramatic entrance, okay? Entrance. So here, basically what we're doing, we're changing the stress more than changing the actual sound, but it does sound different. Entrance, entrance. So it's all tre and tra. So we're changing one of the vowels, plus we're also changing the stress of the word. So to entrance means to put into a trance, to capture someone's imagination, somebody's wonder. So like you see some, right? It's like a magical spell on you. Like you can't take your eyes off. You can't focus on anything else, just that thing you're looking at. Many of the attendees reflected that stepping through the entrance into the ballroom was like walking into a whole new world. In fact, everyone was so entranced by the decor that the flow of people into the hall was slowed down considerably. So people are walking into this ballroom and they come in through the entrance, and it's like going into a whole world. It's like, wow. Like their focus is completely taken from them. They have no idea what's going around them. So everybody just stops and everybody behind them can't get through. So it's a big jam and a big slowdown of the flow of people. Okay. So there you go. Entrance and entrance. Now, homonyms, true homonyms, and they're, again, some people consider all homonyms, all words that sound the same as homonyms, but some people consider true homonyms to be words that look the same and sound the same, but have completely different and unrelated meanings. So for example, current. Current and current. Sounds the same, looks the same. Could mean now, so currently or current situation, or presiding, popular, prevalent, means like a current thinking, means this is the most common way people are thinking about something these days. Or it could be a flow. Okay, so a river current, an air current, or electricity current, current of electricity, the flow of something. Tax. This is money that the government collects from people to pay for roads and healthcare and education and all these things. Tax, to tax as a verb also means to make demands on or to lay a burden on, to make it something very difficult for somebody or something. Spare. Spare can mean extra, like you have some spare time. What do you do in your spare time? Oh, I watch TV, right? So extra, reserve, okay? Frugal. So if you live sparingly, means you don't spend money that you don't need to. You just spend only what you need. To spare means not to harm. So, for example, a judge doesn't want to give somebody the death penalty. He or she spares the murderer and puts him in jail, or to not harm or not punish, or to save from. So there are many of these homonyms, but I will spare you a long video with lots of words. I'm just giving you examples so you know how to study these on your own. Okay, so let's look at some examples. Due to the current heat wave and the consequent rise in air conditioner use, the city will increase the available electricity current from the power grid to meet this demand. So current heat wave, the one that is happening now, and the electricity current, the flow of electricity from the power grid, will increase. The government's plan to increase taxes on farm products will only further tax this sector's already fragile resources and could potentially lead to a crisis. So the government wants to put more taxes, or to increase taxes means they want to collect more money from, I guess, farmers. And this will only further tax this fragile resources. It means it will put a burden on. So farmers already don't have enough money. To now have to give a little bit extra to the government means their resources become even more limited. The situation becomes very difficult and there might be a crisis as a result. Spare. The professor decided to spare his students the tedious task of reading the play and offered instead to let them see the movie remake. With the resulting spare time, however, he asked them to write an analysis of the director's achievement. So he decided to spare them. So he saved them from this tedious task. Tedious means like long, repetitive, boring, etc. So he saved them from that. He's not going to make them do something they don't like to do, and it's just a waste of time. But because they're saving so much time by not reading the play, just watching the movie, they have spare time, they have extra time. He will give them an assignment to do in that spare time. Okay, so you see lots of different meanings, lots of different sounds, lots of different spellings. You have to know these words because if you're listening to something or if you're reading something, sometimes this one word can, first of all, confuse you. You don't know what's going on. But secondly, it can make or break your understanding of the situation. So context will help you to a certain extent, but you need to know these words. For example, all of you know minute, but if you're reading a passage and the word is minute, and you're trying to minute, what does minute have to do? What does time have to do with the situation here? If you don't know this word minute, the whole thing could fall apart for you and you don't get it. This is especially true for those of you taking IELTS, TOEFL, CAE, any language test where they're going to test your knowledge of these words to make sure that you're not limited to the basic, easy words. If you're writing an essay, if you're writing any language test again, try to use these words. Show them that you know that you have a range of vocabulary, that you know that it's not just minute, it's also minute. It's not just entrance, it's also entrance. It's not just address where you live, it's address, to direct your speech or writing to someone. Okay? I hope this was a little bit helpful. If you have any questions, please ask me in the comment section of YouTube. And subscribe to my channel if you like this video, and give me a like. And come back again and I'll give you some more lessons on grammar, writing, vocab, all the good stuff. Okay? I'll see you then. Bye-bye.